Since Doctor Who's successful revival in 2005, an additional series with a Christmas special was commissioned by the BBC. And in order to accommodate for that, Doctor Who needed to have an episode of the regular series that didn't really feature the Doctor and the Companion as heavily. And this was an instance then that happened across the rest of the Russell T Davies era. The first example of these was Love and Monsters, and it's divided opinion ever since, even here between the two of us. So we're going to take a deep dive into it today and sort of bash out our thoughts and, have a bit of a discussion about it. So, Love and Monsters was broadcast on the 17th of June 2006 and written by Russell T Davies and directed by Dan Zeff, his one and only contribution to Doctor Who so far. And it's, for me, I think it's a very underrated episode. I think that, it does have some issues with it, which we'll get into, but on the whole, for me, I really enjoy it.
Me, less so. I like the format of it, but Peter Kay did great. It's a shame the character he got given was just it felt like the Slitheen in series 1, in that sort of comical, not really a threat sort of alien to me, and that's what really ruins this for me. It has potential, but it's the alien choice for this episode which for me really drops it down the list.
For me, I'm not that bothered about it because it fits into the whole meta idea of the episode that it's going with. You've got an alien here that is such like a typical looking Doctor Who alien, but it was designed, at the end we also have to say it was designed by an 8-year-old, so
I feel terrible now.
Well, it's too late, you've said it now. But the concept of the idea was part of the Blue Peter competition and everything.
Sorry, 8-year-old.
And yeah, I think Peter Kay does a great job, both as Victor Kennedy and the Absorbaloff later on. I think it's that sort of stunt casting that's very reminiscent of JNT. It's like it's the equivalent of casting, I don't know, Beryl Reid as a starship captain, but that's neither here nor there. The episode though, obviously with this we follow Elton. He said Elton John. Unbelievable.
It's not Elton John.
So we follow Elton Pope during this episode, played wonderfully by Mark Warren, who is basically our lead character for the episode. And it's all about him sort of tracking down the Doctor because he's got some unanswered questions about his mother's death, where the Doctor appeared as a child, and how obviously he's been popping up again at this point. We've had like the Slitheen attempted invasion and the Christmas invasion and the Autons and everything, and we see all of that in through his, because he starts doing a vlog, and I think that's quite, at the time it would have been quite ahead of its time, and it's something now that hasn't dated at all because people still do. Look at this is basically a Doctor Who vlog at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I really love the format of this episode. I thought it was. Thank you for that. I really love the format for this episode. I thought it was very original. It hasn't really been done a whole lot, and yeah, as you said, it's still stuff like that still being done today. And look at what we're doing, what loads of other people around the world are doing, but. Yeah, the episode idea, the way they went about it was brilliant. It really was.
Yeah, it's a really fresh angle, like we said, giving Elton the chance to be... It can be quite... I think without that format, it would be, say, if Elton's having that conversation with someone down the pub, it would feel really exposition-y. But with it being a vlog and he's talking to the camera, breaking the fourth wall, essentially, because he is talking to us, the audience, at the end of the day, it sort of feels a bit more natural. And like I said, it hasn't aged at all. It's still very current now. We basically do the same thing, obviously, just in a fictional context of, we're aware that the Doctor isn't real and all that.
Sadly.
But I think Mark Warren is fantastic during the whole thing. He's a good actor. I've seen him in lots of things, but this is one of the strongest things I think he's done. He's done some terrible stuff as well. He was a dreadful Dracula. This, I can't fault him in at all.
No, he was very good in this. He done a very good job as Elton.
I love the whole cast of the group Linda, the London Investigation Detective Agency. They're all very they're all very rich, and you really they're believable characters, because obviously this episode, the interpretation I have of it is a very meta. It's a looking at Doctor Who fans in a way. It's the group of them meeting is like like a Doctor Who fan club like you get back in the day, where people would meet up and share opinions like what we do here, just with other people. And it's a look at that, and they're all different. You get like Mr. Skinner, who's like the academic fan, he's there with all of his PowerPoint presentations and stuff, and then you get Bridget, who's a very another very sort of using the Doctor as a coping mechanism for her daughter going missing due to her problems with addiction, which is, is only a passing reference, but that's still quite like heavy for a, Saturday tea time family drama, and then you get like Bliss, who's the more sort of artsy, creative one, and it's all showing how Doctor Who can influence people in different ways. And obviously in the context of the episode, it's the Doctor, but reality, it's looking at this as people like that would have existed still do exist in the real world, and how Doctor Who can affect them in very different ways.
Yeah, no, it does sort of humanize the whole experience a bit more. You get an inside look on what is happening to those around the Doctor and Rose, not directly what they're doing, but like, you see what they're doing and they're in the middle of solving something, but you don't see what's happening outside, the carnage that's been left or is still unfolding, and you kind of get to see a bit of how that's being dealt with.
Yeah.
A bit, especially with the flashbacks to Rose, to World War III and aliens in London.
And that really works in terms of like the world building as well. Like, it's not just, those aren't just things that have happened and nobody references them again, They are constantly, like, people are aware that aliens exist by this point now, and it really just adds to the sense of, like I said, the world building within the show. It makes it feel very organic. Like, this is someone that, just a regular bloke whose life has basically been turned upside down because of his obsession with trying to find the Doctor.
Yeah.
And
it's something I'm glad they did carry on throughout all the series, because you had it with Donna when the Doctor was like, oh yeah, the Daleks and Cybermen. Oh, I was in Spain.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. You got the same with Matt Smith and the Daleks when Amy forgets what the Daleks are. Yeah, like, you've got a lot that ties everything back together and keeps, like, reminds you of everything and reminds you that this is straight after what's happened. Sort of.
And it's weird because obviously these are all very high concept sci-fi things, but they are made to feel real because of the effect it has on the characters and the fact that the Doctor as a character has brought all these people together in the same way that the show brings people together. That's quite deep, I know, but it's true.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, and it's a case of, we've got Elton here, who's just a regular guy. He likes the football. He likes going for a pint. He loves ELO, which is, I can get behind that. To be honest, ELO are one of my favourite bands, so we love that.
Yeah,
and I think there's parts of it where the comedy really does work for me. I think the majority of it does. The stuff, and I've got to say, my favourite part of the whole episode is the stuff with Jackie. I think Camille Kajuri does has such a great performance in this, in terms of, like, she's very much putting up this front to Elton being sort of quite flirty and quite out there, and it's more, you can tell it's a front because it's to fill the gap that she has in her life now. Rose is gone, and Rose isn't around as much, and it's the effect of, what happens, like she said, it's what happens to the people that get left behind, it's the people that aren't travelling in the TARDIS and everything, and what effect that does have. And that's fascinating to see, because Jackie is someone that's popped up sort of sporadically in things, and to have her quite central to this as well, and that relationship she has with Elton, it's really interesting. I think she does a great performance. Like I said, that scene where she's outside and he's got the pizza and she's, telling him that you become hard when you get left behind and everything. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good character development for Jackie.
Yeah.
If you found her annoying, this kind of took that away.
I've never found Jackie annoying.
No, nor have I, but I'm sure some people have.
Yeah.
But it really does make you feel a lot more for her, and you kind of get an understanding more of what she's going through. As you said, with Rose travelling all the time, she's obviously missing her daughter, as any mother would. The stuff with Elton in the flat with the wine that very much looks like Ribena.
It was the most fake looking red wine I've ever seen.
Yeah,
if I was served that, I would be
just that sequence. While it was great acting, I cringed to hell and back.
But that's the point of it, though. It's meant to be awkward and uncomfortable. You're meant to feel for Elton there. You're like, oh no, stop it. But that's the whole point of it. It's to show, like, this is what Jackie does now because Rose isn't here.
Toy boy, no.
Hey, we're not here to shame Jackie, Tyler.
No, we're not.
But obviously, as this goes on, then we find, they get closer and closer to getting through, through Jackie to Rose to the Doctor and everything, until this mysterious Victor Kennedy that they've all been working for, our little cast for the week, have been bumped off one by this Absorbaloff creature, which I think isn't as bad as people make it out to be. At the end of the day, it's part of that meta thing going, look, it's a daft green alien chasing a bloke down the streets. It's part of that meta reference to Doctor Who. That's what people who don't watch Doctor Who think Doctor Who is, and it works. And like I said, Peter Kay really isn't as bad. He gives a great performance, and then he's very much playing Peter Kay when he's the Absorbaloff, to be fair, because the accent comes back and everything, and
Yeah,
I think
it's a bit strange hearing him go posh South London.
Yeah, that is odd.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But I enjoy it, and then obviously, the Absorbaloff is defeated in sort of a bit of a Deus Ex Machina, but it's a Russell T Davies script, so what do you expect? And then there's a really weird concept that I find really just bizarre and out of character for the Doctor, because at this point Elton's processing the fact that the Absorbaloff has been defeated and all of his friends are dead, basically. But then the Doctor sort of reverses it slightly so that his love interest Ursula can stay as a face of the pavement slab, which even without the joke that is one of the worst things about this episode. But it is the worst thing about this episode.
Slab. No, I'm not saying it.
Yeah, it's the idea of Elton and Ursula as the paving slab having a bit of an intimate relationship, yes, shall we say, which is a really out of place joke, and it comes from nowhere, and it doesn't work, and I know what they were trying to do, but it just wasn't needed. So I just don't think it was really needed. It was just a bit crass, it was a bit unnecessary. It's, I think it detracts from the fact that the Doctor has condemned this poor woman to live as a pavement slab forever.
Yeah, I think it would have been nicer if he did let her just kind of drift away with the Absorbaloff.
I think it would have been more... It would have had more of an impact on Elton and bring his story full centre, because, he goes from being sort of this... not lonely guy by any means, but just a regular bloke, to having these people that know about this Doctor and everything and what it means for them all to be taken away again and him leave completely changed. I think that fits with the whole theme of the episode, and then for Ursula to live as a pavement slab is just really weird.
I think it's
just
cruel.
It is cruel, and it's out of character, and you wouldn't get many other Doctors doing that, to be fair.
No,
it's part of Ten's vanity, and look at me, aren't I so clever, and all that.
Time Lord Victorious.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but he is, the 10th Doctor is very vain.
Way, though. Yeah. Well, look at him, he regenerated into himself twice.
I know, but we'll have to see what happens.
I do feel it would have been a much more emotional scene had he brought Ursula back in the paving slab, but only to say goodbye and have a last moment together.
Yeah.
And then gone forever. I think that would have done it a much nicer, much more emotional ending to that part of the episode, and would have kept a lot of people happy, and would have got rid of some really crass jokes that were made as a result.
Yeah, I mean, crass jokes aside, it's still a pretty weak ending to what's quite a strong episode for me anyway. But I'm really curious to know, because I've gone on a fair bit now. I want to know why you don't like it, because you've pointed out some things that you have enjoyed so far that I've said. So I want to know why you think it's terrible.
I know they're not supposed to have Doctor and Rose and stuff, but I would have liked to see the vlog sort of format, but then it go into the flashbacks, because you see at the end he remembers what the Doctor explains to him why he was there when he was a child, and it was to save the shade that had escaped. And unfortunately he wasn't there quick enough to save Elton's mum. Now I personally feel after that reveal I would have much rather seen an episode going around that than what we got, and I feel kind of not let down, just like they've held something back from us a bit, and as a result I can't look at that episode as highly as you do, because I want the other thing.
But so many Doctor Who stories just, drop hints at unseen adventures and everything. That's not a new thing.
No, it's just,
and the whole
just
point
that
of this
one
is
always
that
kept me hooked.
we haven't got this because David Tennant and Billy Piper aren't, free enough to do this episode with the additional Christmas special. So that's why we get this. And if you're going to have a story, right, it's quite easy to see where this comes from. Right, we're going to do a story without the Doctor and Rose. So what do we look at a Doctor Who story that isn't about the Doctor and Rose and is about the effects that they have travelling. And I just think it works as a character piece. And I like meta stuff when it comes to a Doctor Who. When you're doing, there's a fine line, I think, between doing a great piece of meta storytelling and then just flat out just self-indulgence. And this just strays down the line of good storytelling without going too far into, wow, isn't Doctor amazing and everything? Because it stays very clear from that, and it makes a point of, the Doctor, knowing the Doctor isn't always brilliant, It's not always this high life that you think it is, in that, that you think of all the wonders of the universe. It's hard for people.
Yeah, you do get to see what happens when the Doctor's gone.
Yeah. And
that, I feel, again, it could do with happening a bit more, in terms of going around to see whatever the Doctor's done. Like with Bad Wolf.
Yeah, and it's something
that works really well.
Yeah, and it's something that's established as well that the Doctor doesn't really do looking back. That's why we saw that in this series as well with School Reunion and Sarah Jane. We know that the Doctor doesn't like looking back, and it's it happens later on as well. Like the Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor as well struggles to wean Amy and Rory off him because he just starts, instead of just flat out going by, they start seeing each other less and less and everything until it's too late because he can't do goodbyes, he can't look back and everything. He's constantly just going forward, and I think the idea of having an episode all dedicated to the ramifications of that is. I love it.
It is a really good idea. I personally just think they could have gone a different way and done better about it. That's just my opinion. But let us know what you guys think. Feel free to slate me in the comments, just not too harsh.
I just don't understand it though, because all you're saying, you said
there are some really, really good parts of the episode, but as an episode as a whole, I don't enjoy it as much as you do. I mean, it's a damn lot better than Fear Her, which is the next episode in the list.
I would watch this over a lot of other episodes in Series 2. I find Series 2 easily the weakest of Davies' original era. I think
Doctor's got their weak one. He's got a lot of weak episodes in that series.
But I would watch Love and Monsters over Fear Her, over The Idiot's Lantern, over New Earth, easily. Yeah,
Idiot's Lantern was...
For me, the only ones that are really like standout classics from Series 2 is...
Rise of Cybermen.
No, even that is... It's all right. I don't know. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying in terms of standout classics for me is the Ood two-parter and the finale. The rest of it is, all right, there's some good parts in there, but some of it is quite overrated. I think it's because I just don't get on with the 10th Doctor and Rose. That dynamic has never been my favourite.
You do seem a lot happier when 10th Doctor goes on to Martha.
I do. I just prefer Martha as a character. I find him more interesting. I just wish that they'd taken it a different route instead of it being she's in love with the Doctor and the Doctor's all moping over Rose. I just don't like... I think the 10th Doctor and Rose are smug and obnoxious. Not all the time. And there are some great scenes between them. I'm not saying I hate Rose or anything. I just think she works better with the 9th Doctor. And I don't like the Doctor companion romances. I've said this before. I don't like it here. I don't like it with Clara.
No.
Don't like it with Yaz. I'm not too fond of it with River. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm very old-fashioned in the sense that the Doctor and his companion should be friends,
Yeah.
I don't think the Doctor is someone that's capable of a human relationship like we are.
The only relationship I don't agree with the one you said was River, because I loved that story arc as a whole. And granted, it was
River's
sporadic
the one
as
that I can get behind because it does feel like, this is someone that the Doctor would be in love, and this is, if the Doctor was in a relationship, this is what it would be like. They would just be all over the shop, like continuity wise.
Yeah, that's why I love that.
Yeah. But I just, like I said, with this, it's just nice to have an episode away from them. And not that like I said, it's not that I don't like the 10th Doctor and Rose or whatever. I just don't, it's the one that everybody's like, oh my God, I wish Billy Piper would come back. His story's been done though. There are many other companions I would rather see back before they bring Rose back again. I'd love to see what's happening with Martha now. I'd
love to see what's happening with Amy and Rory, like what they get up to, having to deal with the angels.
Yeah, if you're someone that hasn't gone back to Love and Monsters in a while, like I hadn't watched it for a good couple of years before watching it for the review, and I would, I would really recommend going and giving it another look, give it another try. I think it's one of those ones that has, aged quite well, considering. I think there's some themes in there that are still relevant to the Doctor now, and I just think it's a really well done episode. There are some small issues with it. The joke at the end is like appalling.
Horrendous.
I think there's some strange choice of directions. I think when we initially see the absorbal off and they're doing those couple of shots where it's all sped up and then he's running just normally, it was like, that just looks a bit tacky, out of place and tacky, and it does sort of detract a little bit. But the rest of it, for me, I find it a very enjoyable episode. It's definitely sort of the better half of Series 2 for me. Absolutely.
And with the running as well, like if he's running that quick, then Elton running away, there's just no point really, is there? I know it's instinct on that, but then if he's running that fast, why did it take the absorbal off so long to catch up with him?
Yeah.
Because Elton's not going to outrun super fast Peter Kay. But
it's a minor nitpick for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I know you just don't like it for some reasons that you can't actually explain, but there we are.
It's difficult. It's difficult to put into words.
It's just following the crowd. Everyone else doesn't like it, so he doesn't like it. I'm different. I'm not like the other girls.
True, you look very nice in a dress, though.
But that's everything from us now. Please, if you haven't watched Love and Monsters, give it another go. Let us know what you think if you have seen it. Do you agree with me, or in the fact that it's a bit underrated and does something a bit different, or are you in Tom's camp of I don't like it because it's got a stupid monster designed by a child?
Yeah, great. Make me feel bad.
Awful person.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay notified when we post.
We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel for probably nothing related to Batman, but there we are.
Yeah. Well, if they did a Doctor Who related to Batman somehow, I don't know. I'm sure they might toy with it eventually.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't care.
Who
Bye.
knows?